Coming up, a review of the MBTI action plan we presented in a workshop to allow you to move forward with concrete steps with this self-development tool. Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel for the MBTI tool for the ILP virtual course. This video is the companion video to the video produced by Max on the various parts and pages of your interpretive report for organizations. So what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes is the action plan. So I'm going to present the document itself and a few key concepts as reminders, some of the stuff we covered in our workshop that can be really useful tools in terms of filling out that action plan. So the action plan is an applied tool. It is something that is there to help you transform your MBTI into something more concrete. We'll get into that in a second part of the video. So for right now, I'll let you know what can you expect in the next few minutes. We will transition shortly to a screen narration that will where I'll go through a presentation, a very brief presentation, roughly maybe 10 minutes max, that's going to go through the various parts of the action plan, the idea behind the action plan, and a few key concept strategies you can apply to maximize its use. And then we're going to transition back for a brief conclusion. And at the very end of the video, you can expect all of our contact information to be displayed for a solid 10 seconds. So you can pause the video, if you want to capture that information, so that you can get in touch with us for various things like a follow-up or questions you may have for the MBTI. That's going to be at the very, very end of the video. So for now, suffice it to say, it's we had a good time working with all of you on this particular ILP. We really believe in this tool, Max and myself. We think it's a very powerful professional development tool, but it takes time for it to percolate down into yourself and go from that report to actual actions. So whatever you're going to be watching today, it doesn't need to go into action or to be applied tomorrow. It's the start of a process that can lead to very, very interesting development for yourselves as leaders and as people, as you raise your self-awareness through this MBTI tool. So hopefully you watched the video Max produced on the various parts of the report. If you haven't, and you decided to watch this video first, no problemo, as they say. You can go and watch the video later on our YouTube channel and make use of all of the resources we have on this particular channel. There's a lot of stuff here that's really, really interesting for you in terms of the dichotomies, the types. We will continue to produce videos on other key topics or aspects of the MBTI, so you can always subscribe by clicking to the subscribe button at the top of the page, and that's going to keep you updated on this MBTI channel and whatever else we do put on it. So without further ado, let's transition over to the narration of the presentation. Catch you on the flip side. Okay, welcome back to this part of the presentation where we will dig into the action plan document and provide you with some examples on how to make it something concrete and make it your own so that it's going to produce results that lead to actual tangible development items. So you should have the action plan document in hand. It was forwarded to you either through your Syndicate DS or your platoon leader or via the Moodle page for the ILP Virtual. If you don't have it in hand, contact me or Max, and we'll be more than happy, to send you out a copy to make sure you have it in hand, because we believe it's a tool in whatever form you choose to use it as that can be quite useful in actually moving the MBTI forward. So transforming your MBTI into action is the general idea behind this action plan document and behind the process of an action plan. So let's move on over to the goal or the start of this part of the presentation. So the first idea, this is to transform your report into concrete development steps. So basically, look at what's in your interpretive report for organizations. There's a lot of information in that 10-page report that taps into issues such as communication, decision-making, how you lead, how you show yourself at work, how you learn, so on and so forth. So looking at this information, you should be able to transform that information into clear and applicable development steps, and thus you're going to be taking that report. So you took the test, you got your report, we did the workshop, and now is the time for you to do some work on yourself by taking that report and all that information and transforming it into actual steps that will allow you to move forward, enhance that self-awareness we were talking about, and improve these leadership competencies to generate more effective leadership outcomes in diverse teams, for example. The next point is make sure your goals are manageable and achievable. If you don't do these two things, these goals are simply going to fall by the wayside because you're going to forget about them and it won't be important or measurable to you. So by making sure you identify action items that you can reach, that you can actually measure, and that you can actually achieve, you'll see that you will be paying more attention to these goals and putting more energy into making sure they get to where they're supposed to go, and you will be able to measure tangible growth based on this MBTI tool. So that should be one way to make the tool more concrete and more real, as opposed to perhaps what you've gotten so far with a test, a report, and a workshop. So we can move on to the next part of our presentation here, which is the action plan document itself. This is the first page of the actual action plan document. Here at the top, we have the contact information for Max and myself, including emails and cells. A bit below that, you have a link to the YouTube channel you're on right now, and right below that, the MBTI support library. So that link takes you straight to the support library, where there's a lot of documents available, and it's only going to keep growing on the MBTI and various applications of this tool in leadership and in other areas of professional activity. So once you've taken a look at this, your next look should be here, the SMART objectives. So now those SMART objectives, this is one method, in how you can design objectives for yourselves. So first, SMART, what does it mean? It means specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and timely. Basically, in a nutshell, what this means is you're going to be designing goals that are precise, that have a look and feel that you can measure, that are action-oriented, meaning you're going to have to do something about it, and that are realistic in their application and in the results they could bring, and that are timely, meaning you don't want to set a goal that is 10 years down the road. You might want to set a goal that is 2-3 weeks, 2 months down the road, something along those lines, so you can actually put it out for a test drive, apply it, measure it, and see where it took you. And then you can set another goal and keep on moving forward. That way, you're going to have a building block approach that is more manageable and more timely, as we just said. So the next page of the actual document is the, actual action report itself. So there are 2 sections to this report. The top section here identifies strengths and using it as a leader. Why strengths? Because it's one of the habits with these types of reports to say you need to work on yourself and improve. Well, guess what? In your MBTI report, there are a lot of strengths and strong foundational pieces you could leverage to improve as a leader. So basically, if you notice some things in your report that show strengths for yourself, you've identified, oh, this communication part in a report really represents me, and that is one of my strengths. Well, why not use that strength and leverage it as a leader by identifying where you could do so? That's just one example amongst many. So that's the top part of the actual action, the action plan. The bottom part, this part here, is all about those SMART goals. So this is where you will be putting areas of improvement, for example. So the first section of this particular document will detail opportunities or goals. So here, you will identify that SMART goal. You will formulate it in a way that is achievable, timely, all that information I just passed on to make sure you can get there. The next step is, when can you do this, or when can you start, and for how long? Let's go back to that 2-week, 3-week, 1 month, 2 month time frame, and when can you start? This is where you're going to put that information to make sure it's timely, to make sure you can achieve it, and to make sure you're good to go when you start it, and you just don't put down some arbitrary date and then forget about it. So think about it really carefully. When can I start doing this and paying attention to this, and for how long do I want to do this? Advantages, what will this bring you? What will this give you as a leader or as a person? What are those tangible advantages doing this will bring you? Otherwise, it's going to become just one item amongst many. The other point to consider, what will success look like? So basically, what will success look like? If this works out, what will it give you? And when will you know it's actually working? What results are you expecting? If we go back to communications, for example, you identified communication as an issue, you filled out all the boxes. Well, success might be something along the lines of, I will notice that my communication is more effective, I'm getting more positive feedback from my audiences, and so on and so forth. And the last one is potential pitfalls. This is important. This is important because you need to identify what could slow you down or what could prevent you from reaching your goal. Because by doing that, by doing a quick diagnostic of what the pitfalls could be, for example, it could be pitfalls related to your particular trade or occupation or posting, the time you have available to yourself, and so on and so forth. So identifying these will certainly go a long way in making sure that you can complete these goals within a reasonable time frame and with tangible results. We can now move on to the next part of the presentation, which are some examples. Here we have 4 excerpts from the actual report. So the interpretive report for organizations, the sample report that we use in the workshop. I took out some snippets to kind of highlight some examples you could use. First, this is from page 5 of the report. It's how you lead. It's an extract. So when leading others, you make an impact by sharing your energy and enthusiasm, taking charge at the startup phase, communicating readily, possibly becoming a spokesperson for worthy causes, so on and so forth. So let's just say this is a strength. It is a strength. So you look at this particular section and you say, I communicate readily, I communicate readily, possibly becoming a spokesperson for worthy causes. How can I leverage that as a strength? You would write that down in your strength at the top of your action plan, and then you would say, how can I use this as a leader? Well, I may be able to become a spokesperson for something like Operation Honor within my unit and make sure that this is a worthy cause. I want to support it. And as a leader, I have strong communication skills. I can leverage that to improve the culture of my organization. That is just one example in the strength phase, in the strength box at the top of the second page of your action plan. Let's say you want to start working on something that is more of an issue that you want to improve upon. So here, making an effort to include and support people while allowing for autonomy. This is interesting. This is based on the type that was in the sample report, which is an ENFP. So this is making an effort to include and support people while allowing for autonomy. So you might write that down in one of your SMART goals. Maybe I exclude people in my in the way I make a decision, for example, or maybe I exclude people in the way I design projects and make sure tasks are done. But I want to allow for autonomy. This is just an example. So you could write that down. I will make sure to provide more autonomy for my subordinates and to include them in the design phase of the project so that they feel more involved. That would be kind of a SMART goal. I will start doing this from the next month, and I will try to do this for the next 3 months because we have an ongoing project. Then you would figure out what would success look like. The project gets delivered on time, but I see more involvement from the people within my teams, and the project is more cooperative than it was, and so on and so forth. So this is how you can use this particular example, how you lead, to leverage a strength or to tag an area of improvement to work on. So the next part would be your communication style. Again, based on the type of an ENFP. So how could you leverage this? Let's say, for example, you want to look at something to develop, all right? Sometimes I need to moderate your delivery because an ENFP as an extrovert would probably be a very outspoken person, somebody that needs to think out loud. So you would write that down in your action plan. I want to work on moderating my delivery when I communicate with my subordinates so I don't burn them out with information, and I take into account the introverts in the group, right? The people that may not be quite ready to get all this information immediately. So, and you would say, I would start doing this, I don't know, next month, I will try it for the next month and a half or 2 months when I have communication opportunities. What will success look like? I'm noticing more engagement with my subordinates. I'm noticing this and that, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And you will identify a development area based on communication simply by leveraging what's already in your report. The next part is also from how you lead page. At the very bottom, you have potential pitfalls and success boosters. Those pitfalls, well, this could be information you use to fill out that potential pitfall box at the complete right of the action plan. And the success boosters, these could be ideas on how you can work on improving yourself in certain areas or leveraging your strengths, depending on what approach you want to take. So, for example, this is an ENFP type, somebody that's based on N in information gathering, so paying attention to large concepts, theoretical framework, and less to particular details. Here is pay attention to key details and then stay focused on them. This could be something of a development goal in your action plan at the bottom. So I know I'm an N type, so I like to look at the big picture, step back, come to quick conclusions, so on and so forth, be imaginative and all that good stuff, but I need to pay attention to key details and then stay focused on them. So you could put that as a goal. Pay attention to key details and stay focused on them. You would put a time frame on this. You would put what success would look like, what it will bring you, a more rounded approach to information gathering, for example, and then you would put what the potential pitfalls are, and so on and so forth. This is a great way to leverage this potential pitfalls and success booster from page 5 of your report. Now, the last item here is your problem-solving approach. Again, based on your type, this is an ENFP type report, but your report will have information that relates to your exact style. So you can look at your preference in each of these dichotomies and figure out how you approach decision-making and start to think, maybe I need to look at how to leverage the other side of the dichotomy to actually come to more effective decisions that may take into account a broader view of, or a more diverse view, a more diverse set of actual input and opinions from your environment, from your unit, when you do come to a decision. So if we zoom in on this particular part, you are F-type person because this is an ENFP. These are some of the questions that you may ask yourselves when you proceed with a decision. How will others react and respond to the options? What are the underlying values involved in each choice? This is all reinforcing your particular preference for feeling and in making sure you're covering your bases. If you want to switch over to thinking, you might want to go and check out what the T side of the house looks like when it's making a decision and try to match that with this particular approach to figure out how can I leverage this to improve my decision-making skills to ensure I take into account my preference, but I also become more proficient and comfortable with the other side of the dichotomy. So these are some of the examples that you can use to feed the action plan. And we come to the last part of the presentation. Very briefly, I'm going to go over these three snips, these three images, because they come from our workshop and they can also shed a light on your action report. So leadership styles and change. Change is a common theme in the Canadian Armed Forces. And here we have the combination of the TF dichotomy and the JP dichotomy. So decision making and time, organizing your time, and so on and so forth. And these are broken down in task versus people, flexible versus planful, and you can locate yourself. Let's say you're a TJ. Well, you would be in the task and plan part of the quadrant. This is your leadership style. This is how you approach decision making and organizing your time, or the time of others, by the way. But guess what? Other people occupy different parts of the quadrant, and being aware of that is something you could put down in your action plan. As a TJ, I know I process information in this way, and I know I make decisions in this way, and I know I organize my time in that way. But guess what? I manage an FP. That person certainly doesn't make decisions from the same standpoint as I do, and certainly doesn't organize his or her time the same way. This doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's different. And then you can start leveraging that to support change, to make sure everybody's involved in the change process in their own way. That's just one example of the items you could use. The function pairs, so information and decisions. Again, that ST, SF, NF, and NT. I would suggest you self-diagnose. Say, okay, I'm an ST. I'm practical, facts, tangible solution, fast solutions to immediate problems based on facts and very applicable solutions. However, in my team, in my unit, in my command team, whatever, I have an SF, some NFs, and an NT. How do these people work? How do they process information and make decisions? This is important. So let's say you're an ST working with an F. That NF, ideas and possibilities, using insights to develop people. They're not focusing on the same things. It may be complementary. It may allow you to have a more efficient information gathering process and lead to better decisions. That could be something that could help you fill out your action plan. And the last one is leadership styles in general, or how to get the most out of each style. Again, if you self-identify as a TJ, you would see how you can get the most out of your style. That's great. So you know how to get the most out of yourself. If you include followers in that particular thinking process, well, your followers could be innovators, coaches, or consensus builders, depending where they fall on the MBTI. Even if you don't have their styles in hand, you can start to look at your people that are around you, your subordinates, your peers, and your superiors, and try to figure out how they approach different situations when it comes to decision making and time management. So you could start looking. I manage a lot of FPs in my particular environment. I need to make sure I'm getting the most out of that style. I would then focus on this part of the quadrant. and so on and so forth. Keep in mind these three concept boxes, and they'll allow you to fill out that particular action plan more effectively. So I've taken up enough time for this part of the presentation. Hopefully it gave you a good idea of how to use the action plan. If any questions remain, please don't hesitate to contact me or to contact Max, and we'll be more than happy to help you out or even re-engage with individual discussions on this particular action plan. Catch you on the flip side. All right, JF here. Welcome back. I hope the presentation was clear. We covered a lot of ground. I tried to provide some examples on how you can use that particular action plan to your benefit. Hopefully this all works out for you. But again, I repeated it a few times for good reason. Max and I remain available for any questions you may have. Our contact information will be flashed up shortly. In the meantime, if you want to go beyond this video, you have Max's video on the report. You have videos on the dichotomies on this channel. You have videos on the types on this channel. You have videos that explain the validity and reliability of the MBTI itself. And you have more videos that will keep adding as we move forward. Probably something on the function pairs, the dominant functions. These are two aspects that can help you take the MBTI further. So that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the MBTI, what we've done together with the workshop, this video, the other video by Max, and the resources here. I also direct your attention to, at the top of the page, there's a little icon, a little star. It says MBTI Resource Center or MBTI Library. If you click on that, it takes you to the Pearl Trees that contains a bunch of articles for those of you who prefer to read. Well, that's always an option, but there's a bunch of content there that tackles different aspects of the MBTI that you can push forward at your own pace. So hopefully the action plan is useful to you, as was this video. Now I'll transition to the last portion of this video, which is basically just flashing up our contact information so that you can capture it. And then we remain available for any questions or future engagements for the MBTI. And it was our pleasure to work with all of you on this course. And we hope to hear from you in the future, as we're always looking forward for future engagement opportunities with any NCM leaders that require our assistance or our help. So cheers, and I hope the MBTI is really useful for you. This is the first step in a long process that can lead to very interesting results in terms of self-development. Thanks for watching.